Sorry, I can't be the CEO anymore. I got to box 10 parts today before I can do anything.
Yeah. Welcome to another episode of the Amigo Cartcast, our first episode of 2026.
Woohoo!
Yeah, we have a lot
Happy
to
New
celebrate.
Year!
Happy New Year is right. How are you, Scott?
I am good. It's a New Year's 2026. It's going to be a good year.
It is a good year. We have a lot to celebrate for last year and this year, but today's episode we have a very special guest, someone who we met last year and have had the pleasure of working a little bit with, another local manufacturer to Michigan. So without further ado, Lee, if you could introduce yourself, we would love to hear from you.
Sure, how was that last year already? Yeah.
Time flies.
It does.
Yeah.
When you're
Lee,
having fun.
time flies in your head.
Oh, yeah, we know, yeah.
I mean,
There we
right
go.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, Lee Richards, CEO of a company called Human Hoist. We met last year at the Michigan Safety Show.
That's correct. April.
In April, in Lansing. So we produce industrial ergonomic assistant products. So I would say power lift chairs, power lift stools that are used in an industrial setting, among other places, to move the worker around pieces of equipment or around a job where it's difficult to get underneath something. You've got to have a lot of up and down throughout the day, even throughout the shift, and it helps people to be able to do that and hopefully have a much longer, a little bit more comfortable career doing those types of jobs. So we manufacture the products in Goodrich, Michigan. Company has been around for more than 10 years. Started out with a couple of cousins, Eric Brittingham and Kevin Ferguson, who founded the company around one product, which was the idea of a powered kind of mechanics creeper chair that would go from flat to really sitting completely vertically, help people get up off the floor, get back down again, underneath things. And they really conceived of it 40 years ago when they were 17 or 18 years old.
Wow.
But the technology really wasn't there to produce it, besides the fact that they probably didn't know how to produce it either at that age. But they knew what they wanted, and they had some ideas, and the initial designs had hydraulic pumps and hoses and lead-acid batteries, and it just wasn't, practically speaking, very usable. But the technology kind of caught up with it, so you've got now really good battery technology, really good hydraulic actuator technology, which is an electric hydraulic product. And so once they had the technology to be able to really finish the design, they did that, patented that in 2014, and kind of set about to sell it. And like a lot of these, it was the product is there, now we just need to figure out who needs to have one, which is maybe not the best way to do things, but it's what they did. So the first half a dozen years were pretty slow. They sold maybe 30, 40 units, making them themselves. One of the challenges is I always say the product should be in Marvin's Marvelous Mechanical Museum or whatever they call that place. I mean, it's an amazing product, but it is also very expensive to build. And so the market that they thought they would have was a kind of a hobbyist mechanic or a professional mechanic, but the cost just drove it kind of out of that market. So that chair today is a $20,000 product. It's amazing, but the market we found now is much more in the industrial facilities, aviation, where you've got to work around really large pieces of equipment, like an airplane, or John Deere is a customer, or Peterbilt is a customer. So where you're building large equipment and you need to get people working around it. So that's a bit of the background. And then we recapitalized the company in 2019, and that's when I joined. I was a member of Blue Water Angels, am still a member of Blue Water Angels. And we invested in the company. I have a manufacturing background, so I was on the board of the company then as representing investors. And they really struggled through COVID to get the volume that we needed. In 2024, company was still floundering a bit with marketing. What market are we trying to serve? They had a really cool new product, the Human Hoist stool, which is just a smaller footprint product that just goes up and down. It goes all the way to the floor and back up. And they patented that in 2024. And so I stepped in as a CEO to what I felt I could really help the company. And I just think it's such a great concept and such great products. And a team that didn't maybe have the background to be able to define the market, how are we going to market, get it to market. Didn't have the finance background. And so I retired from a $1 billion plus company in 2020 and stepped into a tiny little company a few years later to where we do everything ourselves. And there's not above going to get the mail if that's what it takes. I mean, we do everything. So just really having a lot of fun. Company's growing. We've got new products coming out and just huge amount of repeat orders from really large customers. So I think that, if nothing else, tells us we've got the right thing. We've got a product they love, and just got to get the word out.
For sure. It's an exciting time.
Something sounds a little similar, doesn't
Yeah.
it?
There's a lot of similarities. I feel like I should have started counting.
The only difference is that there wasn't a family member that needed the product.
Right.
Yeah.
But look at how this same kind of deal. Same struggles.
Well, and I think Amigo and what drew me to wanting to spend some time to get to know you guys, we met at the trade show
Right.
that we talked about. And I just felt, I could see that Amigo was working down this path of diversifying into industrial, supplying industrial companies. And I thought, gee, you're probably going through some of the same challenges that we have in terms of how do you service this market. Very different than a consumer market, different than a retail market. And that's kind of where I came from. I came out of the industrial markets. And so I felt there's probably a lot of similarities with both manufacturing in Michigan. Both our products have wheels. Both our products kind of help people do the job.
They move people.
Move people, move product. Yeah.
I think one thing you spoke to a lot of like the ergonomics, right? So we have obviously our healthcare line, which is direct for individuals. We have our material handling line, which could be used for a variety of employees, but it's all about that safety and ensuring that the workforce is able to work safely and efficiently while doing their job, which sometimes could be 12-hour shifts even. So I think that's incredible. I am very curious, the name Human Hoist. How can you share a little bit how that came about? Who was that?
Yeah, the founders came up with that way back in the day. Thought it sounded good. The company had kind of moved away from it. When I stepped in, our corporation name is Personal Positioning Technologies. And
it's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful, right. And it just, so we were looking at kind of branding and streamlining the branding and certainly I felt, look, Human Hoist is a winner. This is descriptive. It sounds, it's just got a good ring to it. And I said, I think you guys hit the nail on the head with the name. Forget this Personal Positioning Technologies. It's way too much. And so it's still the corporate name. We just refocused on Human Hoist as kind of a name and an image.
So remind me, you said the founders original an engineering background? Is that?
No, one of them, Kevin, was a machinist.
Okay.
Eric was a body shop painter, body shop technician for dealerships. And there's a third founder, Steve Charette, who came in, as the company started to grow, 2015-ish. And Steve has a background as a machinist and also working in the automotive industry. So very hands-on guys. It's interesting to watch the development process of new products because it is a very hands-on process. And then it makes its way to the 3D model after it's developed, as opposed to the other way around.
I think that's how a lot of those R&D folks, they want to build, right?
A lot of hammers and drills and grinding and welding and fascinating, right? But so we were working on a new product and it is literally, we push it around the shop and sit on it and use it and play with it and change things. And it's difficult with something as sort of subjective as sometimes as ergonomics and comfort. It's just easier to produce a prototype and then start drilling and cutting and bending and
Well, obviously, the one partner that was a body shop guy, obviously he's seen it, right? He lived it.
Yep.
I mean, when you see these products, and hopefully everybody hits the website and sees those, I mean, they're pretty gosh darn. To me, when I saw them at the show, they looked like they just made sense.
Yeah.
I had no idea how much they cost and all that good stuff. But to me, it was just like if it makes somebody's job easier and life easier. I mean, you know, we all have been on a dolly underneath a car changing somebody's oil. Well, if you're doing it 24, or if you're doing it every day,
it's a lot.
You'd probably want to make it easier, and it's pretty slick to
It's
do
a lot,
that.
and I think the other trend that's happening, and it's certainly happening in industry, it's happening in the trades. We have fewer and fewer young people in the workforce. Why? Because we have fewer young people in the country, right? I mean, that's a bit of the population trends that are going on. And so the average worker in an industrial setting is 44, 45 years old, average age.
Wow.
Is that younger or older than you thought, Scott?
It's younger than me.
Well, not than you. I
younger
said
than me, too.
Oh, I don't know. We did that other podcast where they talked about, what was it, the local school system, and they're trying to get younger people
They
in
are,
there, right?
yes,
Remember that cast?
yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they are.
Very
44 to me, it's kind of funny you say that, Samantha. The products that we're promoting, a lot of times we've got folks that are at the end of their career, 60-year-old folks that are still looking to work longer, and that's where our products come in. But 44, I guess
Right.
that's...
That feels
Well,
young.
let's keep in mind that's an average age.
Yeah,
So,
good point.
I guess the point of that is you've got people, and we've seen it in workshops, we've seen it in plants, where you've got people who are in their 50s and 60s that can't physically do the job anymore. And yet those are the people that have the experience, that know how the job is done. And I think that's one of the things we're really trying to solve for here is, can we keep people on the job longer? I mean, there's no doubt that a lot of the calls we get are from where there's been an accident or where they've got somebody that they want to keep on the job. Where we're trying to get to is, well, if you use the products from a younger age, you're going to be in much better shape when you get to that age. It's hard to get someone in their 20s to think that they're ever going to be in their 60s. I mean, it's just,
I agree.
We were in our 20s, we thought,
Right. It's that way
we don't
forever.
I don't need a tool like this, right? I can crawl around on the floor. I can do anything. Doesn't stay that way. And so that's the idea. That the trend is we can't lose, we being U.S. industry, workshops, heavy equipment, repair. There's a huge shortage looming in front of us. And we need to keep people working as long as we can, as long as they can comfortably work. And I think people need to work too. I mean, I don't think a lot of people are hitting 55 and saying, well, I'm good, because, you probably don't have the money to do that. So that's the idea. And I think the idea is kind of colliding with a trend that's happening at the same time, which is, we also need to keep Bob on the job longer, and maybe this is a tool to do that. And I think it is. I think it's a fantastic tool. And not just because I'm running the company, because it is a fantastic tool.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. When we saw it, Gary, our director of sales, and I were in April down at East Lansing, or in Lansing at the Lansing Center. To me, it was like a showstopper, because when we drove up, or when you guys drove up, or we drove to your booth, and you saw that chair go up and down from laying on the ground all the way up to a sitting position. And does the one machine, nothing stands, correct? It's just
No, it
to
gets
the
you
sitting.
pretty high.
Yeah, but I mean, it was cool.
Yeah.
It was pretty
Thanks.
cool. It looks like there's a lot of engineering involved in that.
There is. The human hoist chair, it goes from completely flat to sitting straight up, and it also has some other interesting things that it can do, like raise up from a completely flat position and stay flat for about the first 8 to 10 inches. So it allows you to adjust when you're underneath something. It can also operate as a chair, so it can be locked straight up and down and then go up and down. So it's easy to get out of, easy to maneuver. But yeah, most people that see it are pretty blown away.
Yeah, that's cool.
At the capabilities of the product. It's also built to last. 2 years ago, we had the first batch that they had made came back for refurbishment, and they were 8 years old. So they'd been used in multi-shifts for years, and they were dirty and nasty looking and had some cuts in the upholstery and things like this. They still worked, and basically the guys just put some new seats on them, changed a few things here and there where there was a little bit of wear, checked everything for wear. It was a nice point for us to be able to kind of see where are things wearing, where do we need to focus. But they really weren't bad. And they went back to them looking like brand new. So that's the design of the product. It is meant to last. But yeah, it's a cool product, really getting a lot of traction in the aviation industry, where, you work all around the product. You take a 737, it never moves, right? It sits there and you build it in place. So you've got to work inside it, you've got to work under wings, you've got to do everything in a position where, and you've got to do it diligently and be able to do that. So I went to the Paris Air Show in July as a guest in a booth with a distributor that we are working with in Europe named Brocha Automation. And they supply the aerospace industry. So I had the chair there and the stool there, and a lot of curious people coming over and looking at it. And there was a group that came by, and there are thousands, like 100,000 attendees. This show is a massive trade show. Massive trade show. It's a trade show of every aerospace supplier in the world, kind of coupled around a major air show. So the public is also there, and it's interesting. They do it every 2 years. And so I had a group come by, and they looked at it, and the team they were speaking French, and my French is pretty poor, and they were talking about it, and I could tell the group we were with was really excited to see this particular group there. And I saw that they all had Airbus on their lapels. And one of the guys was kind of standing off, and I said, "Come over here." So he came over, and he went up and down on the chair, and you could just see in his face, he said, "Wow, this thing's amazing." And he has his guys film him going up and down. Then he got on the stool, went up and down, and thanked him, and he kind of walked away. And one of the guys came up and said, "Monsieur, do you know who that was?" "No, he's head of procurement for Airbus." I said, "Oh, so a good one, right?" "Oh, yeah, that's a good one." So, it's just a great trade show product also, because it's I don't have to have a lot of giveaways. You can just use it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm sure everyone, you even said it's a showstopper,
oh my
right?
gosh,
so it's just fun to, even if you're not in it, that's how
Well, and
you
the
get
Amigo
educated.
product is too. That's why I didn't know that you were doing industrial products until that show.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, this is brilliant. You take what you already know and adapt it to a new market. And I think that's what it's all about.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm just curious, going back to a little bit of the original design of the product and where you're at today. So you've expanded a bit. Has the original product design changed at all, or is it pretty true to where it started?
It's pretty good. It's pretty true to where it started, I would say. There have been some changes in the controls, a bit of changes in the headrest and how it works, but it's a great design. Really works. So
yeah.
That's very similar. We're doing a few changes on a couple other products, but no, it's good. It works.
So the sales guy in me wants to know, how do you sell it? I mean, for example, not that it's about us today. It's kind of always about us, isn't it?
Well, it is your podcast.
But yeah, you're right. But no. We for example, have a 14-day trial program, right? So we just sent one to Missouri. They want a quote. They might be buying it. That's what we can do here. What do you folks do? How do you sell your stuff? How do you sell these products?
Well, that's a great question, actually. That's why I really started to, one of the reasons why I wanted to spend some time, and I met Samantha, and we talked about this, that the 14-day trial seemed to me that's a great way to do this. What we have been doing is we load them up in a trailer and take them to the customer. I've been on a number of calls. We're a small company. We take them there, we demonstrate them, we leave them with a demo. It's really, really resource intensive to sell that way. And we don't have a team of salespeople out there. So we are going to be experimenting more with social media, YouTube, being able to show some demonstrations on exactly how it works. But we still need to get the product in people's hands.
Right.
And so we're actually benchmarking what you guys are doing on the 14-day trial.
Cool.
And trying to figure out if that's something that would work for us. I think it will.
Right.
We were more than happy to box them up with some special packaging so that they arrive, they keep the packaging. More than likely in 14 days, they're going to throw the packaging out because I think they're going to really love it. But yeah, that's one of the challenges, and I think it's the advantage we have of being able to kind of bounce ideas off each other. How do you get people in the seat? Because if they're in the seat, they obviously see a potential use for the product in their operation, and once they get it, it outperforms expectations. So
I was just going to say it's very similar with our material handling. It's like you're almost selling to you're selling to the person who's going to be using it.
Yeah.
They obviously will see the benefit probably rather quickly, but you're also selling to the person who's going to be cutting the PO, right? Which is not always the same person. So
no, and the biggest sales objection that we have is if I put that out there, everybody's going to want one. Mm-hmm. Which sounds great, except that it's a legitimate objection, right? I mean, and I think the idea is, well, these are not cheap. If I put them out there, they're going to want them in jobs where they don't really need them. But it's better than the opposite, No one's going to want it. No one want to hear that. So we did have that one. We had a sales trip a few weeks ago, and yeah, they rolled the human hoist stool into a job they thought it would work. The young guy working there took out the stool that he had there, which was just a stool with wheels. And he used it for 5 minutes while we were talking, and we said, what do you think? And he said, you're not getting this one back. So that was just great. I mean, that's what you want. And the plant manager looks at us and said, okay, well, there's one. So, it works for the company too, because it is... it's a productivity tool. If the worker is not as tired, they're able to access what they need to access more easily, and not tired at the end of the day. They're gonna be able to work more productively.
Are you going nationwide? Are you strictly Midwest? Where are you doing? I mean, where are you at today?
No, we definitely ship all over the country. We just shipped to Colorado with a chair. We're working with a aircraft MRO in California. As I mentioned, we have a distributor in Europe. So Europe is interesting because there's a real push for ergonomics in Europe. I would say as much or even more than the U.S. You have a heavy focus in Western Europe, France, UK, Germany, on worker safety and ergonomics. Really strong unions that work a little bit differently. They have a lot of say in how the company runs and what the companies kind of invest in, especially in France and Germany. And so there's a lot of interest in the product. I think having a really good website helps, but that helps because they're going to see that, they're going to search for it, they're going to see it, and we get email inquiries every day from Europe, wanting to know how can they get it, how's it work. So we would ideally like to have a distribution point in Europe, and I think we will have this year.
So our products have to be CE certified for Europe. I'm sure yours do too then, right?
Yep.
So that's another hurdle, another hoop to jump through.
Yeah, it is, although it's not particularly difficult. It's not actually as difficult as like a UL certification.
Right.
So CE is more about making sure that there's no RF interference. It's not really a safety certification. It's more of an electrical interference certification. But yeah, it's necessary in Europe.
And then on the sales side, the demo side, I mean, what's the farthest you've gone to demo? You said you did something just recently. I mean, did you
Paris.
have to go? Oh, well,
Paris.
That's a trade show though, too, right?
Yeah, but it's a demo, right? We had to get them over there. And,
but like Colorado, do you have to go out there?
I haven't been out there yet for this. We have done demos in California. We've done them in Texas.
Gotcha.
You kind of have to group them so that you've got
a
reasonable way to do it.
Yep.
We did last year. We did a demo in Orlando for a certain theme park that's there, a rather large organization.
I've never heard of them.
No, I don't think I'm supposed to say the name, but and they are a customer.
Cool.
Now, so they have a huge organization that's kind of behind the scenes where they do a lot of bespoke equipment, and attractions are all kind of made in house.
Oh, cool.
And they need every job is different, as they said. and they need the ability to kind of move around things. And so, yeah, they found us online, and we were doing a trade show there anyway, so we scheduled a full demo with all the products, and they're now on the customer list.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Said company to be unnamed.
Yes, I got you. I got you.
If somebody is interested and wants to learn more, what's the
Yep.
best way to reach out to you?
Well, it's probably just humanhoist.com.
Perfect.
Try to keep it easier,
Yes.
easy.
Okay. Well, definitely, if you want to learn more, go to humanhoist.com.
Cool. I've seen it in action.
You have,
And it
I
works.
know, I know.
And it works.
But I think the videos do, it's like, picture's worth 1,000 words, a video's worth, I don't know what the saying is,
Yeah.
1,000,000?
It could be.
More than that.
That's the younger
Priceless.
generation. They'll know. We
It's
need to ask.
priceless.
We need to ask our people.
Yeah, I think the value is when you actually use it. And that's the challenge, right? I think it's a challenge for you guys as well, is you can see how it works, but until you use it, I think it's difficult to appreciate the utility of these products. And that, like I said, that's what, when I saw the products that Amigo had, and we talked briefly about that you had a new growing business in this new market, I thought, yeah, it's obvious. What are people doing today? They're either pushing things around the plant, or they're using a fork truck, and a fork truck is overkill for a lot of things.
Can be. That's for sure.
Yeah, so it just makes a lot of sense. Great job. I love it. We don't have a
That's all
big
you,
enough plant yet
Scotty.
to use one, but when we do,
Okay.
He'll be
we're
knocking on
gonna
your
swap
door.
one.
Lee, that's what they all say. If I had $1, I wouldn't be
I
here
know.
today.
I hear you. I hear you. Well, that was in 2025.
I see. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
That's
Yeah,
so
you're
last
right.
year.
That's
at this
correct.
point.
So last year.
So previously on some of our podcasts, we've shared case studies or stories. You would always share stories about
Yes.
the Amigo Roadshow
Exactly.
and
Going out
customer
and seeing people.
feedback. And
Correct.
those are always fun to hear.
Oh, so you want another one?
I think this
Well,
would be great.
Well, I think in this instance, I'm going to defer to Lee because it's pretty gosh darn interesting. So, Lee, what do you got?
Oh, right. Where we made a difference in someone's life. Exactly. Yeah. So we have a third product that we really haven't talked about. Not really an industrial product, but it's the Human Hoist chair, but with a driver mechanism built into it. So it can be driven like a wheelchair, but operates like a Human Hoist chair. So the thinking was, well, that could be used by someone who has limited or no lower limb mobility, but yet still wants to work on vehicles, work as a mechanic, do the kind of things maybe they were doing before an accident. And so they created a product, the Human Hoist Drive, we call it. And we have sold a handful of them. They're quite expensive, but this thing is amazing. And we sold one of them to, we had a question come in from the workforce development arm of the Colorado state government. And they had a person who they were working with who had an accident, was a lower limb paraplegic, and wanted to continue working in a body shop. And could we help them? So we said, we think so. So we sent them the Human Hoist Drive. They had to do a bit of adapting because we're not experts in this, in medical equipment by any stretch. So they had to adapt some elements of it with a restraint harness and some leg thigh guides and things like that, so that the guy could stay in it when he was moving around. And he's been using that. This is his 5th year now with this product, and he absolutely loves it. It's enabled him, as he says, to get back to, he can do 80% of what he could do before.
Isn't that cool?
You know, the part he can't do, he can't get up and over an engine, but he can get underneath it, he can work alongside it, he can, and my understanding is become an absolute whiz with this thing. He can just go anywhere. So he gets into work in the morning, transitions himself out of his powered wheelchair into this tool, spends the day doing what he loves to do, and he got a hold of us towards the end of last year and said, hey, it stopped working. And so we thought, well, batteries, no, I've tried that, tried this. He had just tripped a fuse on it, is all. And so we sent him a new joystick assembly and some other things. We'll try this, try that. Before it got there, he said, I'm going to send that back. I tripped a fuse on it. I flipped it back the other way, and it works like new. So that was, a fantastic story. That's and cool. We also had a similar case last year where we shipped one to Australia, to a group called Spinal Life Australia. And they're also adapting it to a very similar case to a disabled mechanic in Brisbane, Australia. So I think there's a lot of room with that product line, but it's a specialty, and it's a specialty that's not ours.
Right.
You know? But we do see that as something we can continue to push, and maybe we find the right partner who can take it almost as a rolling chassis and adapt it. Because each one is different. Each user is different. They each have different needs. But yeah, that's pretty amazing that you can do that. You can give somebody a life-changing experience with a product.
I think
That's
that's
cool.
I think it's incredible.
Cool
Honestly,
stuff,
that's
too.
very fun. Do you do a lot of custom?
We don't, but we could.
Okay.
And so, like I said, we've focused on the industrial products, but this one really does have some interesting possibilities to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's always cool to hear how, it impacts any individual at any given point, just the impacts
Yeah.
that you have. That's very, very cool.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I'd like to thank you guys for having me today.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like I'm standing here
You're
going on
welcome.
and on about our company, which is great that you give me that opportunity. But I think we're all kind of in the same boat. We've got great products. We're trying to figure out the way to market things today. It's not like it was when I was a young marketeer, where you had to call people on the phone, set up meetings. You had to go in and see them. You had to show it in person. When I was a young salesperson, when you called, people just figured out when they were going to fit you in their schedule, because that's the only way they learned about things. So they would have, customers would have meetings set up with vendors, with suppliers all day long. They don't really want to do that anymore. They don't need that. They can get all the
sometimes these
information they
purchasing
need
people-
without you darkening their door.
These
So
purchasing people today need to gosh darn get a personality.
that's right. They
That's
need
what
to
I
see
tell.
us.
That's what I tell our people.
They need to see us.
It is difficult though.
Yeah.
You go to a place. It's like you're lucky if you do.
Right.
If there's even someone at that front door. Typically,
Right.
it's just a phone on the wall, and you're
Because they don't
make
need
an appointment.
I used to have information they needed.
Right.
Now they have as much information or more than I do.
Right. Well, the other thing is, it's not like this is in our world, it's not a fork truck, it's not a pallet jack, it's not a rack and shelving. Same with you. You tell somebody we have an Amigo industrial cart, they're like, what is that? I can see these chairs
Yeah.
being very similar to what we
Yeah.
do, or the hurdles we have.
So it's good to have partners
It is.
to work
Of
together.
course.
Share the word, and I'm sure we'll see you at more trade shows.
Yeah.
and
Let's hope so.
In the same boat.
I agree.
Well, thank you, Lee,
Cool.
for coming. We really appreciate you
Thank
taking
you.
the time to share your story and a little bit more about Human Hoist and just the partnership that we've created at Amigo
Thank you.
here. So thank you.
So, in true podcast endings, is it an ending or is it the beginning?
Well, it's the
Ending
beginning of
sounds-
the new year, so
But it's the ending of this podcast.
it is. So I guess until next time, keep it rolling.